Thank you for joining me today. It's Brian Gubernick, and welcome to the No Days Off podcast, where we believe that every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. I am currently reading Michael Singer's newest book called Living Untethered. And if you were listening to yesterday's episode, you probably heard me mention The Untethered Soul as one of my 10 most impactful books that I've read. Well, Living Untethered just recently came out. Of course, I grabbed it and I'm currently going through it. And in that book, Michael Singer makes a statement. He says, your personal mind does not always give you good advice. Your personal mind does not always give you good advice. Now, sounds like a pretty simple statement, but if you really think about it, it's a bit challenging. And it challenges a lot of, at least my personal understanding around things. I think most of us have a tendency to walk around assuming that voice in our head is right. It's just natural for us to do that. We trust it. We follow it. We rarely question it or challenge that voice in our head. If your mind says something like, what if this goes wrong? Or this might not work, or I should probably play it safe. We actually act as though that's guidance being given to us. But what if that voice, what if it isn't actually trying to lead you forward? What if it's just trying to keep you comfortable? Let's unpack this a little bit today, and we'll reference Michael Singer's teachings quite a bit here. So let's start by defining what the personal mind actually is. Michael Singer's point is that your personal mind isn't some objective decision maker. Your personal mind is just a collection of past experiences, maybe some emotional reactions. It's based on patterns maybe you've built over time. Basically, it's a database. So when something new happens, your mind doesn't step back and say, hey, what's the best move here? Instead, it scans the past and it says something like, hey, what does this remind me of? How do I avoid discomfort? See, that's a very, very different function. It's designed for protection. That's how we're wired. Now, this advice coming from our personal mind, it is oftentimes flawed. If your mind is built on past experiences, there's a problem with that. Some of those experiences are probably outdated. Some of those experiences were emotional and they probably were not very rational. Some were even one-off events that got maybe more credit than they deserved or even overgeneralized. But your mind treats them all as truth. So now when you're about to do something new, be it have a hard conversation or start a business or take some sort of risk, your mind steps in and it says, hey, be careful. Or, hey, this could go badly. Or you've seen this sort of thing before. But what it's really doing is pulling from some old fear that you might have or some old discomfort or these past patterns. That's not necessarily reality. Now, here's the big issue with all this. This is where I believe it all becomes a problem. Most people don't realize they're hearing their mind. In other words, they think they are their mind. And this is where it gets a little weird. You got to understand Michael Singer. Most people don't realize they're hearing their mind. They're observing their mind. Instead, they think they are, in fact, their mind. So whatever thought shows up, we naturally believe to be true. Or it becomes our direction. Or it becomes action. There's not much of a filter. There's not much of a pause. There's very little evaluation. And as a result, this sort of thing leads to playing small or avoiding risk or staying in situations longer than you should. And you're not doing that because it's the right move. You're doing it because your mind is trying to keep things pretty predictable. You've got to separate yourself from the voice. This is one of the most useful ideas that Michael Singer teaches. You are not the voice in your head. You are the one hearing it. Again, I know it's out there, but if you study Michael Singer, it starts to make a lot of sense. That's a very big distinction. You are not the voice in your head. You're the one hearing it. Once you see that, you don't have to automatically follow that voice. You can hear a thought and say, oh, that's interesting, or oh, that's one perspective, or even that might not be right. And as a result, you create some space. And that space is where you actually allow yourself to potentially make a better decision. Think about how this shows up day to day. Let's say you're about to make a big decision, or maybe say something that needs to be said, or take a step forward, whatever it may be. Your mind jumps in and says, now's not the right time. Or what if this backfires? Or maybe wait. And sometimes that voice is useful, don't get me wrong. But a lot of times it's just trying to protect you from discomfort. And if you follow it every time, you're going to end up stuck. It's just the way it goes. So here's the takeaway I want to leave you with. Your mind is a tool. It is not the leader. Your mind is a tool. It's not the leader here. It's useful, but it's not always right. I think people that progress and mature are the ones who grow and take action, who build things. Those individuals have learned how to hear that voice without being controlled by that voice. Again, some of us may be hearing this right now saying, Brian, what are you smoking? No, I think I'm just, I thought about this far too much. I've studied it way too much. And I've had to kind of come to peace that I am not that nonstop talking voice in my mind. I'm able to observe it and recognize that sometimes it's valuable and sometimes it is just a big distraction. So here's what I want to challenge you to do. In the coming day or week or month, whatever it may be, I want you to catch that voice, that scenario. When you hear the voice say, don't do it, or play it safe, or wait, I want you to pause and ask, is this actually true? Or is this just my mind trying to keep me comfortable? Again, based on past experiences or whatever it may be. That one question may change the game for you. It really will. Because the moment you start to question it, that voice, you're no longer controlled by it. That's all I have for you today. The No Days Off podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. So let's get after it.